Good morning. Well, we got a sunny day. The ground is still wet from the 2 days of rain, much needed rain. The other day I bought a 5-foot section of 3/4 inch conduit from Home Depot. It only cost me about $3.50 or thereabouts. And some 3/4 inch clamps. I'm using the Samsung F40 for simplification of the video today, because it is a little cool outside and I don't want my Kodak to freeze up. So here's what I'm going to do. I think this is going to benefit Doug maybe more than anyone else. My intention is to put this bar on the horizontal right in this area here before the light. That will give me the edge of the bench as a starting point for this. So in other words, the camera mount will be in this area here and will hang down in this area and will slide across and be approximately in this area here, just to the forward of the edge of the bench. So putting the camera rod over here is not a good option. Ideally it should be right under the light, but I'm not going to do that. It will restrict the light to some extent, not a lot, but I was originally going to mount it right at the bottom of this. The light is drowning out the camera here and causing it to underexpose. I was originally going to put the pipe to the bottom of this 2x4 rafter here, but that option would force me to come out too far, and although I'll get some shots under the chassis, it could cause a problem. So I think the best option is to mount it like I showed you. And what I'm going to do here, these 2x4s are set about 13 inches apart. For strength, I didn't go 16 on center. From here to here, on the outer edge of each of these 2x4s, it's exactly 16 inches. So I'm going to take a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, approximately 2.5 inches wide, which is already cut. I have a piece under the shed. And I'm going to screw it here, and it's going to go across just past this light. And then I'll put the clamp on the plywood, and that'll clamp the pipe to the bottom side of the plywood. The same will be done on this side. I will not show that part on the camera. I'll just show you after I get it done. You notice on the bench here that I've got the DX440, the $2 one at the yard sale, open. But I also got my good DX440 over there. I was out here last night trying to pick up WWV, but I only had an inside antenna and I didn't hear it on either radio. But my good DX440 is a lot more sensitive. This DX440 is off frequency. I think it's about 5 kc off, but I don't know where the adjustment is on this. In other words, 880 AM is, can't remember now, 875, something like that. 1310 is 1305 on the dial. On analog, there'd be no problem. You just move the, you adjust the oscillator. But there's so many adjustments in here, I have no idea which one and where it would be to make the adjustment. All right, and got a bunch of birds eating out there on the bird feeder. Don't want to disturb them. I just filled that up today. Let's see if I can zoom in there. They love those sunflower seeds. That's about the only thing these birds will eat. try regular bird feed seed, they don't seem to go for it. So I've been doing that for years. So they're having a good time here. We just try to keep them happy. There is no more cats or anything in this area, none, because I think the coyotes killed them all, whatever's out here. The good part is we don't have any skunks or raccoons. I haven't seen any this year at all. Last year we had skunks and raccoons. Anyways, what I got here on the bench now is a 36-inch piece of 3/4 inch cut-offs plywood, and I'm going to cut two 16-inch length pieces to screw up onto the rafters up there, and on those pieces I'll be putting the two 3/4 inch pipe clamps to mount my conduit. We'll cut these by hand because there's no point in getting power tools out for this little job. All right. And the other 16-inch piece. Now, these aren't perfectly the same width, but these are just cut-offs from a project that I had done before. I'm not worried about that. It's not precision. It's just to hold the bar up there. Alright, two 16-inch pieces. Now we're going to pre-drill 2 holes, one at each end. Alright, you can see what I've done here is put a piece of plywood here, set this about 3 inches from the inside here of the rafter to the center, about 3 inches to clear the light a little bit. I don't want this thing right under the light because I need my I don't want to block the light, but the way I'm designing it, it's going to have that metal hairpin clip that I drew out a diagram for you. So it's not going to hurt anything. There's not going to be any clamp or anything that I have to reach over and turn. On this side, I did the same thing. And it's all screwed up in there now. It's fairly rigid. I mean, you wouldn't want to do chin-ups on it. But we're down, and it's still about 6 inches from the top of my head. So I'm not going to bang my head into it. And when I put the mount on, the horseshoe thing, that will be hanging down a little bit more. But when I'm not using it, it's going to be slid over to one side or the other. What I have to do now is to make that hairpin bracket. And I need to find a piece of 3/4 inch pipe to bend it around, and I'm going to do that in the shed. As you can see, this is the vise. This is how I made that bracket for the camera. Just banged it out on here and put a little light on the subject, but you can see how much crap I got. It's not easy working in here. So what I am going to do is to stick if I can find a piece of pipe to stick in the vise, and I'll use that to bend the aluminum around it. And that's going to take a while. I really can't set you up too good in the shed here because there's just too damn much junk. Ask Uncle Dorkle. He will tell you, hey, you still alive? I see, he looks dead to me. Well, this won't do. This is 1 inch brass nipple hot water heater. Then and the conduit is 3/4. So what I'm going to do is take one of these impact sockets and put it in the vise and bend my my aluminum around that. So I just got to find a 3/4 inch outside diameter. That's easy enough to find. We'll come back on the video in a minute. Now I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you set up so you can see how I do it. Alright, what I want to do is start out with the longest piece of stock. This is what's left over from the other pieces that I made up. You know, the other section here for the camera. This is what's left over. Let's make sure I'm in camera view here. I'm always out of view. Looks like we're in view here. This has got a wider angle on the view anyways. The smallest I got is a little over 3/4 outside diameter. They don't seem to make them any less than that unless I go to a smaller set of sockets. So we got 21 inches. So that's more than we need. But we want to bend it in the middle because we need the leverage. And then it's got to come down, so there's got to be enough room for that. So half of 20 would be 10. So it would be 10.5 inches. And that's where we're going to bend it in the vise. Eyesight and knocked it off. That's 10.5 there. I don't know why that's off. Yeah, that's 10.5. Okay. Okay, so 10.5 inches, so we put it in the vise and bend it. Now we're going to take you into the shed, and we're going to try to give you the best view we can here. Alright, so we set this on the center. We go on the back side of this, and we pull it around. And that's how I make my things. This is just the start. Alright, now what I'm going to do, see if I can bend that anymore. Alright, now this, a lot of times I have to try many times to get this to work out for me. This is like the extreme of the vice grip range here, and sometimes they succeed and sometimes they don't. You need 2 hands, 3 hands actually. Alright, we did a bend. We got a little bit of a kink in there though, not much, but a little. But we got this thing into a hairpin. Alright, the idea is that the conduit, this is going to ride on the conduit. There's going to be a hole here, and there's going to be a bolt and a wing nut. Now you might say, well, why not just let it hang there? Well, suppose I want to swing this thing this way and lock it into place. In other words, like that. Well, if I don't have a way of locking it here, it's not going to work. It's just going to hang there. And true, I can slide it back and forth, but it's going to do one of these things. You know, we can't have that. We got to lock it in. So we got to finish doing this. We got to make this more. This is not done yet to the way I want it. I still got to work on it a little bit. Well, I found a piece of 3/4 inch conduit. That's why I save everything. It's very difficult to get this bend the way I want it. This is a very difficult job here compared to the one I did for Uncle Dorkel. So, it's not a nice bend, but it fits in there tight. So, what I may have to do is to unhook one end of that bar to get this on there, because this neck here will not permit it to go through this way. So now what I got to do is I got to drill a hole in right through here so that I can put my wing nut on there. This is 1/2 inch conduit here. See, that's too loose. And this is the, it's a little over 3/4, the impact socket, the outside diameter. So we're fitting very tight with the 3/4 conduit, which is what's up there on the ceiling of this shop. So it's not perfect. It's not what I want. When I build something, if it isn't quite right, it don't sit with me well, you know. But I think I can live with it. And you're the only one that knows I did a crappy job on it. I won't. Don't tell anybody, please. See, I'm gouging out with the device here, so I don't want to do it too much or weaken this up, because it'll snap off at this point. We don't want that. So this is going to come down. The bar goes across like that. There'll be a set screw here so that I can adjust the whole shebang. And after I drill that hole, then down here, somewhere in this area, I'm going to bend these out so that I can take the 2x2, the short piece that I drew on the diagram I showed you, so I can mount that, and then my clamp will go on to that. So this whole thing is going to probably be down quite a bit. And if it's in the middle, I'll probably bang my head, but I'll just slide it off to the side. I think it'll work out all right. All right, I'm not going to be able to get that perfect. But this is how I make my square bend, which I didn't show you on the video. This is going to be for the block of wood that's going to be mounted on that. So this will stay separated here. So when we need to pinch this, you know, this thing fits, this conduit fits in here so tight, really tight, that it may not need a locking bolt in here. So I'm not going to, when I put the wood in here, I'm not going to close this up, because that will keep this tight all the time. It's going to be like that, and the 2x2 will go on here. But actually, I think I'm going to bend these down so that the 2x2 will go underneath. The reason for the 2x2 is, if you're following my videos, the 2x2 is where I can clamp on my gooseneck. So that's what that's for. Alright, I did a bunch of trial and error in order for this thing to clamp down when I put the set screw in here, the set bolt. I had to make this thing squeezed in on the side and pointed on the top. I hated to do that, but that's the only way. Right now you can't get the piece in there because it's crimped together. So we're going to drill a hole down about here so we can bring the two pieces together. And this damn drill bit is wobbling here, but I think it's the bit. Now we're starting with an 1/8 inch. And I got something I want to put in here, but the threads are a little short. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it. And I'll show you that in a minute. I hate about the Harbor Freight drills, no matter how tight you make the damn things. Well, tell you, the gears are, they're good for light drilling, you know. Alright, so I got an 1/8 inch hole here. What I want to put in here, and I don't think it's going to work out, is this little jewel here. This is something they threw away at work. I have no idea what it was, but I was always picking up stuff with in mind of using this in some project. This is a nice nice knob. The only problem is there's not enough threads on it. And I don't know what it went to. It went to some piece of equipment or something, but it's a little bigger than 1/4 and the threads are finer. There is a nut that goes with it, but I don't think this is going to work out. This would be perfect for an adjusting nut. Well, I don't really want to drill this hole to accommodate this because it's going to be bigger than 1/4. I think it's 5/16. So we're going to drill out the hole to 1/4 now. We'll do that off camera. And then I'll show you the rest of this thing and see if maybe we can use it, maybe we can't. There's not enough threads on it to accommodate both layers of aluminum, 1/8 inch, which is 1/4, because when you loosen this thing, if you don't loosen it enough, you won't be able to slide this up and down, left and right on the bar. And that's the idea of it. It has to move left and right on the bar. If this has any tension on it, it's not going to slide. Now, all this stuff, as I said before, all these movements of the camera and everything will be done off video. In other words, I won't be moving these things when I'm actually recording something I'm working on. I'll move the camera, get it where I want it, and then turn the camera on to record. So that's the way I'm going to do it. That way you don't get a lot of sickening movements and stuff. So, all right, let me drill this out. I'll be right back, and I'll show you what what was on the other end of this. All right, I got the hole drilled. My 1/4 inch bit was dull for some reason. I don't use them that much, but anyways, this is what was on the thing. I guess it's stainless steel. This is what was on it. If this was longer, that would be fine. But there's not enough material here, not enough threads here. Here I am off camera again, as always. To accommodate this, at leastwise I don't think so. If I can get you in a little closer here. Let's see, where am I? Pretty bad when I got to move my hand so I can see where the camera is. Okay, that's about where I should be. Alright, so I don't think that would go, that'll almost fit in there, but what I can do, I don't like to really drill this hole to accommodate this thicker bolt that's in this knob here, but because I have 1/4-20s, but the 1/4-20 is going to fit too loose in there now. But I would like to use this. let me take this out of the vise here and file these burrs off of here. And on the inside. Alright, now here's my 3/4 stock here. I have like an oddball nut, if I can get that to go in there. But the problem is it already tightens up the work and I can't slide it. In other words, I'd have to take this out because this is putting pressure on here because it's too short. I'd love to be able to use this knob. If I had used my head besides a hat rack, I could have tapped whatever threads this is into this piece of stock here, and then I wouldn't need a nut. But no, I didn't use my damn head besides a hat rack. You know, sometimes it's an afterthought. You know, it's too late now. So, but right now, it'll move. It doesn't have to slide like a shower curtain. Just fling it and fling it. As long as I can reach up there and just push it over to the left or the right, wherever I want it, and then lock it down. So, let's say I want the camera pointed a little bit towards the back of the bench. Let's say I'm working, I want to get a view of the far side of the chassis, and I wanted to turn it like this. Well, you see, I need to clamp this, and that's the idea of clamping this, so that it'll stay at an angle. In other words, it doesn't have to be perpendicular to the bench if I want it to be like that. Yes, the gooseneck bends, but this gives more versatility to the gooseneck, and that's why I designed it this way. So we're not sure about that nut and bolt arrangement, but let me take you into the shed and show you. Let's just put this up there and see what it looks like. Alright, I just loosened the clamp here just to get this on here. Now, the idea is that I can slide this, but she's not sliding the way I want it. So, I'm going to have to stick a screwdriver in here and pry this back a little, and then put the bolt through. I might have to use 1/4 bolts, which is what I already bought, and the wing nut, which I've already bought, and go that route because there's not enough threads. You can see how far apart that is right there. Well, it needs to be that far apart, otherwise I'm not going to be able to slide this at all. So now you'll notice that this is down quite a bit. This is down 6 inches. With this 2x4 in here, 2x2 in here, okay, it will probably be mounted like this. In other words, these will be bent down and wrapped around the 2x2. And there's my distance from the bench, which is sufficient. But the idea of turning this like this, which yes, it'll stay that way now, but not with the weight of this on it, as I can get in this way, or if I need to angle out more to get a little distance shot here, I can do that. Alright, I took a screwdriver and shoved it in here, and you notice I can slide this. Alright, then when you tighten this up with the bolt, she's rigid, she bites right in there. And I'm just squeezing that. I'm not even squeezing those two pieces together. So the next step is to bend these down so they'll go around the 2x2. I can put the 2x2 this way, But if I did that, then I got this 3/4 inch wide aluminum, which is going to interfere with my clamp, because the 2x2 is 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I want the full surface of that for the clamp. So we're going to mount it this way. In other words, it's going to run parallel with this bar. So that means I got to slide this off the end again and make that part up. When I'm all done with that, I'll come back on this video. Well, I had to make some modifications, and I didn't like the way I have to have it mounted, but this is going to have to be. And I'll show you here in a minute. I'm going to have to mount it this way on the board. And I had to cut the other leg off of that, because if I bolted that down to the board, whether I strapped around the board or just on top of the board, when I go to tighten this screw up here, I'm not going to be able to do it. I need flexibility, so this side of the hairpin is going to have to be adjustable, which means that this whole apparatus, instead of the board being this way, the way I wanted it, in relation to the bar, in other words, parallel to the bar, it's going to have to be this way, which means the camera would be mounted on the right side of the board, and if necessary, even though I don't want to clamp it to the 3/4 wide stock, it can be mounted on the left. So in reality, my camera's not going to be 3 inches from the end of the 2x4. It's going to be more like 1.5 inches. So the center line is going to be right here instead of here. But that's a small price to pay. And if I have to get the camera closer to the instruments, I can mount my camera clamp where my fingers are. So what I got to do now is to drill a couple of holes in this aluminum and then screw this down to this wood here. And I could put a screw in the end, but I don't think it's necessary. I just did that to make it look a little nicer and maybe a little more stable. I don't want to split the wood either, so I think 2 screws right on this piece here would be fine. We'll do that off camera. And we're just about ready, except for the adjustment here. The way this is now, it fits in nicely, but there's not enough threads on that nice knob that I got to be able to use that. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to use 1/4 20. I could go and get a 5/16, since this hole is now 5/16 bolt from my hardware store. I can afford that, I'm sure. And maybe a nice big fat wing nut, because I wasn't able to find any good size wing nuts at Home Depot. So maybe when I go out later I can do that. I can add that once this thing is up there. That's not a problem. Alright, that's pretty much the finished product, but I have to I'm going to have to get a longer bolt, and that means I won't be able to use this nice knob here, because it's pinching this and I can't slide it. It's not allowing this to open up. And if I take this off, I'll be able to slide this right up and down the bar, but right now I can't. Now, the way this is set up now, I'm clamped on this side. I can clamp on here, but like I said, I didn't want to do that, because not only have I got the metal in the way, I've got 2 screws that I got to clamp onto. But it'll work. Now, if I want to come out like this, I can lock this into place. It's hard to hold it with the camera here and with this clamp here. I might take and put the knob on this side. But this is the idea of it. And as you can see, if you're looking this way, I'm quite a ways off the edge of the bench. But if I'm sitting there, I'll be able to get good angles. The Kodak can't get any closer than 10 inches anyway, so for general videoing, that's mostly what I'll probably be using, or this camera for close-ups. But that's essentially how it's going to be, and when I don't need this, I just take this off, and I can slide it here, or I can slide it down there. Most likely I'll slide it down that way, because that way it won't be on top of the speaker. It'll be out of the way over here and be a better option, because if I leave it in the middle, I could hit my head into it. It's down low enough where I would when I get up from the bench or something. So this is no problem. This is right up there and out of the way. So that's my my arrangement. I just gotta get a large, extra large wing nut if I can find it, and probably a 5/16 bolt. I probably have one, but I gotta dig in my box of stuff, and I spend so much time, it's just as easy to go out and get one. I think I'm gonna go out for coffee anyways. Alright, so now with the knob off of it and the thing, I can go like that and just get it right out of the way. Most of my videoing will be done probably at this point on, and you know, and anywhere in between. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thank you for watching. We'll all see you on a video on a computer near you real soon.